Welcome to the Lead Up Leadership Podcast. Hear from rising leaders and seasoned leaders across various industries to see about their leadership journey and how you can level up your leadership game. Here's your host, Renato G. Lead up!
Well, we are back with another episode of the Lead Up Leadership Podcast, and this is episode number 25 with not only a colleague, a co-worker, but now a friend and someone that I've gotten to know really strongly in this past year. And that's none other than Bryan Mapenzi, aka Bam, as I call him. And maybe I'll share a little bit of why is that. But welcome, man. Welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, man. I'm definitely glad to be here, and I know we've been kind of talking about this for a couple months, and glad to finally get a chance to be on here, man, and make it happen.
For sure. Before we dive deep into some of these questions, man, just give us a short bio, man. Just a little background story, where you're from, who you are, and just a little bit about, who is Bryan?
I'm going to give myself a little timer because I get long-winded.
Yeah.
30 seconds. So Bryan Mapenzi, as Renato said, I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, and, school has taken me to Boston. I've also lived in Alabama for a little bit and in the center of the Midwest in Nebraska, and made my way out here to Cali last July 2019. And, I've loved it here in Sacramento and working with IYT and really just getting a chance to serve young men of color, like in my role, is really a blessing. And got a chance to meet Renato as well, too, and a bunch of other wonderful individuals who, are striving to do the same thing.
Yeah. And I'm actually going to mention that story a little later on of how we met through an interview and just kind of like the craziness of all that, how that unraveled. But before we get there, we just wrapped up 2020. We're in 2021 now. I'm curious to hear from you, man. What did you take away from, a very crazy 2020 and it's still somewhat crazy 2021, but there are some good things I would still say that we could have learned, right? So what did you take away from 2020 and what are you currently looking forward to now in this new year of 2021?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. 2020 was a year of all years, man. Definitely one of the most eventful since I've been alive. And I think that me going into it, I was very energetic and hopeful. And once about mid-February hit, man, like I feel like I got the winter blues, man. And it was a drag. Like work was difficult. I was really having a tough time, man. And lo and behold, we have the stay-at-home order here in Cali, and I come home and working from home just like you as well. And I just took it upon myself to be like, you know what? There's some things in my life that I can control, and there's some things I can't control. And two things I can control is my attitude and my effort. And my effort really at that point stemmed around like my own like self-care and taking care of myself. I was working myself to the bone, but I was never replenishing. It was just replenish 2 days on the weekend, work yourself to the bone, and just this constant cycle of like being emotionally drained. So I really just started pouring back into myself. And when I tell you, like, it has paid dividends, man, I think that's understating it tremendously, I think my life has changed. I got a promotion since then.
Right.
I've really been able to hone in, like, on my own relationship, like with my wife and with other people. I feel like I've had more clarity, like, in my life about just, like, what I want to do and, like, what my purpose is and why I'm here. So it's been crazy, man. I just started really journaling consistently and meditating consistently and really, like I said, decluttering like my emotional and psychological space. And that is, like I said, paid dividends.
Yeah. And so now, and man, let's see, where do I want to go from here? I think what was kind of the shifting point or turning point for you? One thing I think you forgot to leave out, you guys got a house as well, right?
Oh man,
which
was I don't know how I forgot about that.
But no, a lot of people got houses that they didn't think they were going to get houses, right? As you maybe mentioned, but very recent, as I'm seeing, kind of like your, the time that you're waking up, right? That your whole morning routine, maybe kind of dive into that and really diving deeper into, what was the turning point? Maybe what was the switch that was like, all right, I need to do this, every single day, right? Like what are you shooting for? Like what is the reason that you're doing this for?
Of course, man. So I remember like it was yesterday. March 13th, we had a video call with all of the PMs, and Casper was telling us like we're gonna be a stay-at-home order. It's gonna severely affect like what we do. Can't be in school, of course. We started our virtual stuff March 23rd, and as we get to do new things, we're trying to figure out a way to make it more efficient, both for ourselves and for the people that are our direct reports. So March 23rd, I was working through that week, and at the end of the week, I'm like, man, like I need to really focus on me and figure out how I can make this job more enjoyable, because I love doing the work, but again, emotionally drained. Like a lot of
Yeah.
the stuff we deal with is just it saps you, man. So
Yeah.
you got to find ways to pour back into yourself. And I said April 1st, you know what? I'm gonna start meditating. I'm gonna get up early. I've been an early riser typically, but I found myself being in bed longer, like not wanting to get out of bed. And I
Yeah.
just took it upon myself to be like, you know what is the root cause of that? Not just trying to change it, but finding the root cause.
Mm.
And like I said, I was unhappy. I was, feeling more anxious, more depressed. So
Yeah.
I took it upon myself to meditate and really just sit and be with my thoughts, man. And again, it was a blessing because it gave
Yeah.
me more clarity, and I started unpacking stuff that I thought I had finished unpacking, but looks like that luggage was still with me. Uh,
Mm.
and that was kind of like the start of it. So first it was just meditation.
Yeah.
I fought tooth and nail for a very, very, very long time not to journal, because I knew once I got to writing and put pen to pad,
Yeah.
some of these feelings that I didn't want to address
Yeah.
and would sweep under the rug would come out, and sure enough, they did.
Yeah.
But it was way less fearful
Hmm.
and fear provoking than I thought it was going to be. It
Yeah.
was really the catalyst to the growth that I feel like I've been able to partake in like over these
Yeah.
last 9 months now. And
Yeah.
that journaling, man, that meditation, and really just being with my thoughts. Because think
Yeah.
about it, throughout the day, when we're at work, when we're doing whatever else it is that we're
Hmm.
doing with other people, you don't really have time to like sit and be quiet. And that
It's true.
solitude piece is absolutely
Man,
vital, man. I think
very
if
true.
anybody really wants to get to know themselves better, like sitting in silence
Hmm.
without distractions, without somebody in your ear, it's really an important factor to
Yeah.
getting to know the most important person in your life, and that's you. And for me,
Mm.
that was waking up at 4:30 in the morning. Like immediately, people hear it and be like, "Yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good."
Yeah. Yeah. Give us that snapshot of what the routine is like, man. Like, what do you
Yeah,
do, the time, and what's involved? Because I've been super encouraged, right? Not waking up. I know by the time I get up around 6, I'm looking at Brian's Instagram, and he's got all the things that he's grateful for, all the things that he's doing. So tell me a little bit, kind of like a quick snapshot of what your routine is like.
precisely, man. With pleasure. So I'll get up, man. I actually go to bed around, could be anywhere between 8:45 and 9:15. I would probably say that's the window.
Hmm.
Um, so I started training myself to go to bed like that early. Naturally, I'll start waking up around like 4:15, 4:30ish, man. I could probably do it without my alarm clock, but I keep it on
Wow.
there just in case.
Yeah.
So I get up, man. I drink some water immediately, and then I'll go into my office, lay on the floor, take 6 breaths, say what will be, whatever will be today.
Mm.
And then I'll go into my meditation. Usually takes somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes, however long I'm feeling. I have no
Yeah.
specific set time,
Nice.
because I realized in the beginning I was setting a time parameter on it, and I'm like, maybe I need to be in this thought a little bit longer. Maybe I need to be in
Mm.
this feeling a little bit
That's
longer.
good.
So it's really just me sitting with it, man.
Yeah.
So after I do that, I'll get up, I'll cut the light on, and then I'll start journaling, man.
Yeah.
So that could range anywhere from freehand journaling to putting down what I'm grateful for. And I
Hmm.
actually just got a new journal called the High Performance Journal.
Hmm.
Shameless plug there.
There you go.
And it has different prompts, and it kind of walks you through these prompts. And sometimes it just has you journaling about, what do you think your future self is going to be like? What would your future self be proud of if you did today? How do you want to live your life more purposefully? And that was one thing that I actually put on my IG like the other day, man. So
Hmm.
really just being intentional about my thoughts and actions. That's, I think, where it starts in the morning. And that's when your creativity level is the highest, and that's
Hmm.
when I write my blog post in the morning, when I'm
Yeah.
wide awake and like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So I think that's the time for me that
Yeah.
I get a chance to be quiet. Like there's nothing distraction wise that's going to bother me. I
Right.
don't get on my phone. I don't want to have any
Hmm.
inputs until about hour and a half, 2 hours into the day, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's my time to shine, man.
There you go. That's awesome. And I know you mentioned about the promotion right now that you've been in your role now for a couple months, and and it involves wellness, right? Which is
Yes, sir.
something that you've really taken a hold and ran with it. And I've noticed personally, and other team members can really blessed by just the content and the value that you're providing. So maybe kind of touch on a little bit more of one, what is wellness? What does that mean to you? And how have you seen that? um, I would say maybe your role. How have you seen yourself as you're providing wellness resources and tips, and how has that benefited the people around you?
Most definitely, man. So I think for me, man, wellness is this idea of like holistic living. So usually when we talk about health, it's centered on like one or two things. So like maybe it's my mental health, that's just one thing. Maybe it's my physical health, right? So wellness is a holistic thing and it's thinking about the whole person. And I looked at my life and I realized like what is something that I've always been focused on? And it's just like the body and like the person. So I got my undergrad degree in exercise science, and that was more so from the physical aspect, right? And
Hmm.
then I got my master's in counseling. That was on the mental aspect, and I've always just been concerned about like how do we operate? Like what is the spirit? Why are we here? Like asking all these big questions and
Yeah.
thinking about these existential questions, and what does it mean for us to be human? And we're socialized both as men and women, or however you identify, right, to do and be certain things.
Yeah.
And I want to know like what it means to, like I said, be human, man. What does it mean for us to thrive and live a fulfilled life, man? So
Yeah.
I think from the wellness aspect, I really want to dig deep on what it means to be able to do that. And I think that
Yeah.
starts just overall with this idea again, like I mentioned earlier, about being
Yeah.
able to heal from either it's past trauma, ongoing trauma. And a
Hmm.
lot of people's issues like stem from that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. What would you say practically, for people like tuning in, you know, to this day, I would say even for myself, there are days because of the parameters that we're in or the environment, it's
Yes, sir.
hard to like, oh man, I wish I could do this, right? Or I wish back in the day, right, when we can be outside, we even socializing as you're mentioning, right, like with other people. What would you say are some like practical things that people can do when it comes to wellness, whether it's their physical, right, their mental, something that they can practically do even starting today or starting next week.
Ooh, it's a question there, man.
Yeah.
Um, I think a self awareness has to start with like self awareness, man. Because a lot of people, including myself, like we
Yeah.
have areas that we know, like okay, like I want to be more physically active. I want to lose a couple pounds. I want to start repairing a relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
A million different things, and I think we all have things that are at the forefront of our minds, and we all
Hmm.
have things that maybe further in our subconscious.
Yeah.
I think for me, just taking stock, being introspective,
Yeah.
giving yourself that space to do so, because we don't often have the time to do that, or we don't think we have the time to do that, or we want to push it off and
Yeah.
delay it, man. And I think fear is a big thing in regards to like us really tackling what it means to like
Mm.
be well.
Yeah.
So practically speaking, I would start there. Once you
Mm.
get past that introspection stage, really acknowledging like, okay, this is something that I want to do. How do I go
Mhm.
about doing that? And taking like even small little actions, right? So
Yeah.
naturally, if I want to work out more, I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
like I'm gonna work out 50 days in a row. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna bench 315 pounds tomorrow, right? But we chunk these small things together, and I saw a quote that said, "Being great is just being good a bunch of days in a row." That's
Mm.
it. The
Yeah.
consistency piece, in order to do anything or be successful, requires us to do it over and over and over again. And
Yeah.
we get tired of that, right? It's like, I
Yeah.
don't want to do this anymore. I'm ready for the outcome. I'm ready for the
Yeah.
destination. But the journey is really where the race is won.
Yeah. Man, it's so good. And it's funny that you mentioned journey because um, as I got to know you more, you shared a little bit about your journey, before you came to California, right? And even before you got your master's and kind of going backwards to when you started taking school and education
Mm,
seriously. Some context from like what you were sharing, that your dad, right? He himself is in education. He's a professor, right?
that's correct.
And I would think, or some other people would think, like, oh, his dad's a professor. This guy's, education, that's a breeze. But that really wasn't the case for you, right? So maybe if you could share a little light on that, kind of like your educational journey,
Hmm.
and what was the shift at that point in time? Because, uh, you know, I think for a lot of people, whether it's family members or maybe certain paths that they're on, it's not always kind of like the direction they thought it was going to be. And another
Mm,
more context, right? You were an athlete for a long time, right? A baseball player,
definitely, man.
right? So that was a big part of your own journey. But something took a turn, right? But you
Yes,
made the
sir.
best of it, and now you are where you are today. So I know I said a lot of things there, but maybe take it where you feel like it's good to go.
Give him best shot, man.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. I'll start in high school. Um, I would like to say that I've always been relatively smart, but it didn't always correlate to, um, I guess, positive outcomes.
Yeah.
I was always the student with a lot of potential, but I never turned that potential energy into kinetic energy. You know,
Mm,
some quarters I would get a 3.4 and be
yeah.
like, great, Brian, you're doing it. And then other quarters I would get a 2.4. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, what's going on here?
Hmm.
Um, I graduated high school with a 2.9 and respectable, right? Like that's
Yeah.
not bad by any means. However, if I'm graduating with a 2.9, but I have the capacity to get a 3.5 or 3.6, then there leaves something to be desired there.
Mm,
So for me, it was just a matter of not executing and really putting my best foot
mm.
forward. So I knew pretty much I was going to go to community college afterwards, and it was perfect. My dad worked there. I had to pay like fees, and it was
Yeah.
very, very affordable.
Yeah.
It was a good route to go just in regards to saving money. So played baseball there for a year. In my second year, I had an opportunity to uh, get a scholarship to a Division II school, and basically I just had to finish out the quarter, and I was going to transfer.
Yep.
And what I decided to do was fail 4 out of 6 classes and then drop out of school because, again, education was not important to me, and I
Yeah.
pretty much just wet the bed.
Yeah.
Laid an egg on that one. And then I dropped out of school again. It was in the center of the last recession, man. So clearly
Wow.
I was making great decisions as a 19-year-old. Um, Tried it again.
Yeah.
Afterwards, took me 5 or 6 months to even find a job because somebody with no skills and no
Hmm.
education, they're not just out there throwing jobs on the street corner to you.
Hmm.
So I ended up getting back into school the next fall. Did okay, but didn't do okay enough to be eligible to play baseball again. So I put myself in the same situation.
Mm.
Not great. So then uh, it was a struggle because I had to take 19 credit hours just to graduate and get my associates. And by
Wow.
some grace of God, I did it.
Hmm.
And after that, I transferred to a school down in Alabama, man, and thought it was going to be wonderful, all good, got good grades. Couldn't play baseball because I
Hmm.
transferred credit hours from a school that wasn't accepting the credit hours I was
Yeah.
sending. So it made it really tough, man. And I kind of was at a crossroads at that point. I'm like, what am I going to do, right? Thought about
Yeah.
going to the military. Thought about just saying, forget about baseball. And
Yeah.
it was tough, man. I felt like I went through depression during that time, like that summer, and I had a friend at the time who really talked me out of going to the military and said, I feel like you could always make that decision later on down the road, but I feel like you have a lot to offer right now, and education I think is going to be your best route to go. So
Hmm.
that was when I really just started to get it together, and I said, you know what, like I'm not going to do bad in school anymore. I never got below a 3.0 again, man. So
Hmm.
fast forward, I ended up getting my bachelor's degree, man. I went to another school, and luckily um, got another scholarship to like play baseball. So I'm like, man, somebody is looking out for me. I really feel like opportunities keep falling in my lap, and at
Yeah.
some point, like it's like, okay, if you don't take advantage of the opportunities that are presented before you, like
Right.
start to dwindle, man.
Yeah.
I did that. Decided that I was going to go to grad school, and I knew like my baseball career was going to be over, and I had an opportunity at one point like to play professionally, but
Hmm.
I decided that it would be much better for me to continue my education, and my love for the game wasn't there anymore, and I knew
Hmm.
falling back on grad school was a hell of a fallback plan, right?
Yeah.
So I went there, man, and that was when I really decided, like, okay, like I want to do a lot of things in my life, man. And just the value of education, like I said, it wasn't initially there, man. And a light
Yeah.
bulb just kind of went off between me being in Alabama and coming back home to Ohio, and then eventually transferring again, like I said, to get another scholarship for baseball. And I really just started taking my education in my own hands, man, because 150, 200 years ago, like people that look like me,
Hmm.
they didn't have the opportunity to read and write. You know, it was
Yeah.
a luxury. It wasn't right. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so that was something that motivated me as well too, man. Because so many things that we can take for granted today, like people will lose their
Right.
lives for. So
Right.
it was just really further reiteration that I needed to do something that was gonna um, shape the future for me and
Hmm.
my my family.
Yeah. No, that's dope, man. And that's one of the reasons why I had to bring you on here, and just, the relationship that we've been building recently, just hearing
Yeah,
more about, what you're trying to accomplish and what you're currently doing for yourself. Just totally respect that and just admire that. Want to be surrounded by people like that, because it does me, uh, good, because I get to reflect on myself and be like, okay, what good is this providing me? What am I doing differently to, think about the future and my vision and goals and stuff like that. So I greatly appreciate you, man, and how you turn those opportunities really into gold, and now just continuing to push forward. So keep doing what
yes,
you're
brother.
doing, man. As we start to close and wrap up, um, I want you to help me out, and this is something I've been doing the last couple episodes with my guests, and I want you to help lead up my listeners by completing this statement. And the statement is,
Mm.
every leader needs blank. Knowing what you know now, gone through your experiences, or the things that you're learning, every leader needs.
Hmm. I would say, man, I got a couple things jostling around in my head, man.
What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I would say a mentor,
Mm.
honestly. Because when I first got into this, I had like de facto mentors, uh, and I still like actually still meet with one. He's not my de facto mentor anymore, but I didn't know what I was doing, and having someone, especially a person of color, if you, let's say you're in the business world, and unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily reflect like people that may look like us, right? If you're on an island by yourself and you don't have anybody who might share the same experiences, who can also share the experiences dealing with like racism or
Yeah.
sexism or homophobism, whatever it may be, right? It makes it very hard for you to uh, move upward. Not to say that it can't be done, because we know our people
Hmm.
have done that uh, exceedingly,
Yeah.
but it makes the road a little bit easier to hoe, if you will. So I
Yeah.
think having a mentor, having somebody who can really not only keep you accountable, but you know, uh, peep you different information and give you game on what's going on, man. Like
Yeah.
it's invaluable, man. And I
Yeah.
know it's helped me up to this point in my career, and really just taking a look at myself and figuring out like, what is my purpose? How am
Hmm.
I adding value? What is it
Yeah.
that is going to set Bryan apart
Hmm.
from the next person that is
Hmm.
really going to give me an opportunity to serve?
Yeah. I love how you talked about mentoring and peeping game. And I don't know if it's too early to say, or if I should even mention on here, but I know you're trying to be peeping some game sometime this year. I know that's one of your goals in terms of the wellness aspect, right? Providing coaching.
Yes,
Um,
sir. Yes, sir.
so I'm looking forward to that. I know that's something that that's near and dear to your heart, and you want to provide that value for people during this time. So if people want to connect with you, I know you're really working on the blog and wellness resources for folks. How can people stay connected or just keep in touch with what you're doing?
Yes, sir. So if you want to go to Facebook, man, my name is Bryan Mapenzi on there. So my blog is Elevated Wellness, ELEV8, that is 8, TD hyphen wellness.com. I usually post about once every 2 weeks or so. Um, so yeah, I'm out here, man, just putting out good stuff into the world. And it's really important for me, again, to make sure that everybody is well. I really want to focus on compassionately cultivating other people, man, and
Hmm.
just helping everybody live an enjoyed and fulfilled life, man. That is my goal. And first, I need to do that for myself and really continue to pour into other people to do the same.
Dope, man. Well, you heard it here, man. Bryan Mapenzi, dropping the knowledge, dropping the gems. Make sure to follow him and support him. And if you want to get that wellness game, make sure to find him on Facebook and follow his website. Appreciate you, Bryan. You heard it here. Lead Up Leadership Podcast. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.